welcome back, folks. So what does it mean when people get better and they're able to function again, when they're back in the game? So when we talk about being back in the game, oftentimes we can refer to athletes being able to, when they get injured, they can't play. So when they rehab and get better, they're back in the game, they can play the game they love and do the thing they're best at. Well, this was what happens with patients when they come through our program. They come in, they're unable to walk, they're not able to do a lot of things, and so their life is essentially taken away from them, and we're able to help get them back to the point where they can function again.
Right.
So that's very important.
Identifying a patient's goals is one of the key things that we do in the exam process, not just neurologic, orthopedic, and gait analysis and all the stuff that we do.
Right.
But what is it that they want to do that they're not? Golf, lift their kids, lift their grandkids, and identifying their goal so that they can get back to their life.
Right.
Yeah.
Focus. And it's like, anything in life. If you set a goal and you make it very specific, you're going to achieve that goal with a lot more success.
That's right.
A lot more success. And of course, we are interested in their pain.
Right.
We're interested in what they can't do, but like to emphasize what you say, what is it that you want to get back to doing that's been taken away from you?
Right.
And so that's very important.
One of the patients that we're going to share his testimonial next,
Yep.
He talks about his goals and some of the things that he did, and he gives our staff an incredible compliment, which we hear all the time.
Absolutely.
And something that my dad taught me in the beginning, and I believe that you agree with this as well. Mm-hmm. When we put a staff together, mostly women,
yes,
and they all work together seamlessly,
right,
we're not that smart. You can't hire camaraderie.
Correct.
So we're blessed. So God brings these staff members to our clinic, and they work in a synchronous group towards one specific goal, changing that patient's life.
Well, and I think we are blessed, and not only do we attract the right staff members with the right frame of mind, and our goal is to serve the patients that come to us,
right,
with everything that we have, and to do it naturally, without drugs, without surgery, and that's what the Discovery Program is all about. That's what chiropractic's all about.
That's what chiropractic's all about.
You talk about our staff, and when people come here in pain, they're also not in the best of spirits, not in the best of moods,
right,
and we get to see that transform.
Right.
And that's very gratifying. And people say, oftentimes when they come here in pain, sometimes I even feel better just walking in the place. This is before
right.
they even get treatment. So, how many places can say that?
We hear that all the time.
Yes.
And have heard that literally for 55 years.
Absolutely.
So it's a unique environment, not just with our system, but the presence that's here.
Correct.
It's pretty cool.
Well, and we, of course, the manipulations, the treatments we give to the spine, we call them adjustments. So not only do we see health conditions get adjusted, we also adjust attitudes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, listen to what Jim has to say.
I was hurting badly from, I'm assuming, a previous injury. And so I was always very opposed to chiropractors based on everything that I thought I knew. And so when I came here, I met with Dr. Jim, and he convinced me that they could help. So that's what brought me here, and sure enough, that's what we did. I mean, so bad I didn't think I'd ever be comfortable again. I mean, sleepless nights. I couldn't stand too long. I couldn't sit too long. I couldn't lay too long. I was that uncomfortable, and I literally am doing amazing now. We did do an MRI and X-rays. And after viewing those X-rays, it was very clear that my vertebrae were literally stacked on top of each other. There was no spacing, and they were to the point that they were actually bulging against each other. So that was the first clue to me that was like, wow, now I know why I'm hurting so bad. He recommended a series of spinal decompression and therapy, and so yeah, he put together a nice game plan, and we followed that for I think about 8-10 weeks. And I told some of the employees this was a year and a half ago when I first started coming, and when I did, the only reason I quit coming for a short time for a while is because my father had passed away, so I needed to take some time off. I wasn't done with my treatments here, But I can remember speaking at my father's funeral, standing on my feet for the first time and feeling super, like, great. And this was after about 8 weeks of, I think 8 or 10 weeks of decompression and putting a strategy together. First time I was here a year ago, I was just so impressed with the staff. I've had discussions with Jim in his office on just, dentists, doctors, specialists, you name it. I've never dealt with a better staff. I absolutely enjoy looking forward to coming here and smiling and saying hi to everyone. The staff is phenomenal. I mean, they genuinely care. They're structured. They're organized. I'm blown away at how everybody seems to read each other well here, and I never, always sense a great camaraderie among the employees here. Just a great place to come.
So Jim's story is not unique. We hear it all the time. And we hear patients say how our staff and the way that they feel coming here helps with their healing. And that is true. When you go someplace that you're welcomed in, your spirit and your character improves just from the environment.
Absolutely. And I mean, what touched my heart with Jim is the fact that, mentioning, unfortunately, with his father's passing, that he was able to stand and talk about his father. Think of the impact of that, the fact that you can't stand for a period of time because the pain's so bad you have to sit. Standing is part of everyday life. I don't care what it is that you do.
Right.
So, that's huge. And that's really what, why we do what we do.
Right.
Why we do what we do. And, you think about pain. One of the leading causes of drug abuse is pain.
Yeah.
Specifically low back pain, and that's something we of course see every day. So you think about the impact of that, abusing opioids, which are pain meds that have to be given by prescription, and people rely on those. And think about what we can prevent or get people away from just from simple chiropractic care.
Right.
So
we've had such a wide variety of patients that have come here. We've had professional athletes that have come here that thought their careers were over because of their back injury.
Right.
That they were able to get back into the game, back into their sport.
Exactly.
Same thing with high school athletes, weekend warriors, and grandparents that just want to simply lift their grandkids.
Exactly.
So it all goes back to what are the patient's goals and how can we help them achieve their goals.
Exactly. And so our program offers people hope. And that's really what people lose when they have pain and they can't do what they were born to do or what they need to do.
Right.
And you think about the folks that have physical jobs and they have to be on their feet all day long, and when you can't do that, what's the end result there?
Right.
So that's where the hope comes in. So.
And what we've learned in the time that we've been able to refine this system, when the pain's gone, you're about halfway. Because you got to reintegrate back into life. So let's say we go back to that professional athlete, get the pain gone, but they have to be conditioned and re-strengthened and learn their motion again to get back to that sport that they're a professional athlete in. Because they could re-injure this very quickly. So just because the pain's gone doesn't mean they're ready. And we'll help them reintegrate back into their life.
And that brings up an excellent point. And what we refer to that, what I learned in school, we learned a term called muscle memory. And so when you have a structural issue or a structural problem, the muscles conform to that. So you can align a spine, which is what we do, but the muscle is a very important component of that. So if you don't address that and don't change the memory, it's going to eventually come back.
Right.
So. And
what's interesting enough is that brain-body connection is real, and it goes both ways. So there's been times, and Jim had the exact same scenario, where a particular medication that he was taking was interfering with his rehab.
Correct.
And he went back to his family doctor, identified which one was affecting his ability to perform. The family doctor took him off that medication. We went back to the rehab program, and he excelled in strength. So identifying each individual case specifically so that we can get the very best result that we can. It was imperative that we got him off that med, and that family doctor recognized that and was the first one to pull that med.
Most definitely. And that, I think, reiterates the importance of our initial examination and taking what we call a full medical history, which would include everybody's on a lot of medicines, so knowing what they're on would certainly make a difference, as it did there. So
Right.
that was amazing. Yeah.
So when you hurt your back, you learn what not to do because of pain.
Correct.
And then if it stays long enough, then you stop trying new things because you're afraid of the pain.
Yep.
And then you start losing those options. Hey, do you want to go to the ball game? Do you want to go hang out, or whatever that activity is? And patients decline because they're afraid of the pain.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
once the pain's gone, reiterating or getting them back to the game, so to speak, is identifying which limitations do they have, and then slowly reintegrate them into that activity.
Well, and one of the things we try to do with every case, of course, is when they're get their program of care, their spine is fixed,
Right.
and we strengthen them appropriately with our rehab system here. We also give them stuff to do at home, stretches, exercises
Right.
that we want them to do on a regular basis so that they maintain what they've achieved.
Right.
And then the end goal is to keep them on board as what we call maintenance patients, and continue to treat them as you would your car. I mean, we change our oil, we check our gas, and and make sure the engine's taken care of to prevent problems. We want to do the same thing with the spine. So
Right.
it's an education process for sure.
And the rehab program that we do here that's specific to spine is not where it stops. Because once they've completed that program, helping them find a place to exercise near home, or getting involved with a personal trainer,
Right.
or picking up specific activities that they weren't doing before to try to keep this from coming back.
Right.
Because people get back into the same routine, the likelihood is they could develop the same problem again if you don't compensate for what activity. Somebody is a runner,
Yeah.
you have to make sure that their feet are balanced and that their shoes are the right support, and they're not running on hard surface and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And it's maintain. We say movement is life. So for some people, it's an active, intense exercise program. For others, it's maybe walking around the block every evening after dinner. Some type of movement to keep them going.
Right.
So, yeah.
So
Yeah.
our next episode is mindset over matter. And we look forward to sharing that information with you soon. Thank you.
Powell Chiropractic Clinic introduces Discovery, the alternative to back surgery. The advanced Discovery protocols created in 2006 by the doctors at Powell Chiropractic Clinic are healthy and effective ways to avoid surgery and relieve pain. Innovators in chiropractic care, Dr. Jim Powell and Dr. Walter Null invite you to live pain-free, drug-free. Call today for a free no-cost consultation and preliminary examination. Powell Chiropractic Clinic, located on Munson Street Northwest in Belden Village, and at powellchiropractic.com.